This topic and episode seems to be all about Canada-US, and that is, of course, a very important topic. Sandra Pupatello, as a former Ontario Trade Minister, you know about Buy American policies, Democrat administrations, Republican administrations. It appears that Joe Biden is a big supporter of Buy American. I understand that Justin Trudeau was talking at some point about whether there'd be any exemptions for Canadian goods and services. Where do you think that's going from your perspective?
Well, you know what, it just seems agnostic, whether it's Republican or Democrat, they all want to take care of America. And I think in fairness, because many economies around the world have done fairly poorly this year, Canada in this last quarter, I think it's a bit of a surprise when we start seeing our numbers rebounding better than what was expected. But when things are really tense or people are fearful, they do want to sort of hunker down and take care of their own. And their representatives are, in fact, reflecting that. So when we hear Joe Biden say, or, Kamala Harris say, look, we're going to take care of Americans first on the vaccine, for example. And then they're going to talk about what else we're building and what can we build here. And, that sounds a lot like what I used to say when I was the minister for Ontario. We want it here. We want the investments here. And in fairness, we need to broaden our view that international trade is good. And for us to want our companies to trade internationally, we have to be prepared to have the door open to have companies sending their products to us as well. So there's this balance that is uncomfortable at times because we want it all. But realistically, we have to be a trading nation. That's our history. And Canada has to get back to being that and being committed to that. And I think that we are. The idea that we have to get around this pandemic and get our feet back on solid footing as an economy, I think that's going to help. That will help even this Buy America issue.
I want to take up on that point that Sandra just made, that whether it's Republicans or Democrats in control of the White House or the House of Representatives, we've always had to have this delicate balance. And I'll remind viewers that, during the presidential elections, both candidates, Trump and Biden, were talking about some form or another of Buy America. Now, historically, for example, in areas like defense procurement, there's been exemptions that have been given to Canada. I think that it would behoove our federal government and our diplomatic mission in Washington to try and expand those types of exemptions beyond just defense procurement. It's too early to tell what's going to happen, but I would be certainly, impressing that upon Ambassador Hillman, that this would be an important job to try and accomplish.
Joe Oliver.
Well, we don't know the details yet. Obviously, Canada keeps trying to get exceptional treatment, and sometimes we're successful, but not always. It's understandable that this administration is going to be a little more focused on Buy America than it was before, even because they don't want to lose support and be subject to criticism by the Republicans for sort of abandoning American blue collar workers, which is, of course, been was one of the reasons why they lost the previous presidential election and why they lost some ground this time in Congress. So the politics aren't great, particularly when you're talking about policies or infrastructure that's funded by the American government, because then they say, well, look, if we're providing the money, why should we finance it outside unless it's advantageous to us? It all comes down to the need not only not to be naive, but to focus on policies that are going to create growth and wealth, prosperity, competitiveness and productivity in this country, so that we can compete in a pretty tough world where trade is important for everyone. It lifts all boats, but not equally and not all the time. But it's crucial for Canada. Our 76% trading relationship is always going to be overwhelming, but we need to pursue others as well.
Indeed.
And productivity is critical in this context.